Welcome back YouTube, KRoad17 here with a brand new F1 2019 video, but instead of career mode, we're going to dive into a little bit of the championship side, a little extra that they give you on this game. They don't give you much, but there is some. But we decided ultimately to go for the Classic Championship, as you guys can see there, and I debated on what car I wanted to run in this, and I was thinking maybe I would jump into the 1988 McLaren MP44, but that car and myself do not get along with handling, but I decided to go with the 2009 Brawn GP car because this car is absolutely amazing to drive. So without further ado, we're going to kick this series off and get right into it.
Welcome to qualifying here in Interlagos as the cars are readying up for what's likely to be a very important session.
Right into qualifying, as you can see, this is my first lap, and already, I mean, this car feels so amazing compared to the 2019 cars. This car will stick, you can throw it in corners, you name it, you can do it with this car. And I feel very comfortable with this car, but we're going to set our first lap. I did set this as short qualifying, by the way.
You've just put in the fastest lap? Good job.
So we already jump up to P1, and I will say I actually had this AI set a lot higher than what I do in career mode. And it just goes to show how much more comfortable I am with this car. But I'm going to look into upping this AI, the skill level of the AI a lot, because I felt like I shouldn't have been the fastest, though this car was one of the faster classic cars you could have. But here we are, putting in our final lap of qualifying. It's already gone better. Green in Sector 1, purple in Sector 2. We crossed the line and grabbed pole position.
Excellent lap. We're really pleased.
Just a bit of a rundown. You can see we grabbed pole by 4/10. It looks like the two Red Bulls are behind us, followed by a McLaren, and then the next closest Brawn is in 5th. We're going to dive right into the race. Let's get this going.
You join me on a day where we bring Formula One's storied history right into the modern day. It's a new championship season with classic circuits, classic cars, and classic scoring as well. With 10 points for a win, getting up to the front will be harder and more important than ever before. We're racing today then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7-mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3. That gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1.
You've done well to put it on pole, but we've still got work to do. Trying to cover the inside line off the start.
So, Jeff tells me to cover the inside line, and I can tell you at the start of this race, I do not do that. But we're going to dive into this race strategy. This car is very, very easy on the fuel, so I dropped the fuel. Strategy looks good. Let's kick this off. Waiting for the 5 red lights to go out in the Brazilian Grand Prix. They're lit and we're about ready to go. 5 red lights are out and I get an absolutely terrible start. I bog down the car and you can see the 2 or actually 3, 4, 5 cars go around me. So the Brawn actually gets around me. All those cars had an amazing start compared to myself. I have no idea what I was doing. I was messing around with the throttle. I didn't want to spin the tires too much and ultimately spin myself out in front of the oncoming traffic. But in doing so, I've lost 5 positions, actually 4 positions. I'm down to P5.
Okay, not a great start. Let's get back on track.
Thank you for the update, Jeff. I'm aware that I had a horrible start, but here we are. As you guys can see, you can actually barely hear Jeff with these cars. These cars are so loud, and that's what I appreciated about it. I know a lot of people like the newer cars, 2019, but the sound is something that always comes up in the debate of, old F1 versus new F1. However, we're going to kick this off. We're not going to go into the history of all that stuff. We're going to keep on board here. I actually follow with this for about 2 to 3 laps, as you guys will see how much I battle the cars ahead of me. The Brawn is right up ahead of us. We do get a good run out of that last turn. Can we pull up behind him and go for a look on the inside or the outside? He goes for the inside look on the McLaren, so I'm going to tail it to the outside. Get it past the Brawn. Can we outbrake the McLaren?
Good job.
Cannot do it, so we're actually stuck behind the McLaren now, but we do get ahead of our, I guess you'd say, teammate, the Brawn, as there is no teammates in this, but there is classic points, if you guys notice that in the intro to the race. McLaren's going to go for a look on that, I think it's Red Bull, but ultimately doesn't get it done. They're side by side, so I'm going to hang back. and watch this battle so I don't get tangled up with any of these guys, as there is no safety car allowed in this Classic Championship 2, which I have no idea why, but that's how Codemaster said it, and so I just have to stick with it. I was a little, flustered that you couldn't set that, but whatever, we're going to go right through it, and we're going to follow it. It looks like the Red Bull outdoes the McLaren, and as I outbrake myself into the back of the McLaren, and boy, that was close. I thought I was going to chip a wing, because I did set this to simulation damage. That way it could be a little closer. We do get a good look on the McLaren, but he ultimately gets a better run than us up the hill. Can we go and get ourselves around this McLaren? He's actually going to pull us into the inside and squeeze us a little bit, but that was close. Can we get a run on the Red Bull? We're going to outbrake. Actually, we get outbraked by the McLaren. This guy in the McLaren is ready to go. He's fired up and he's spicy, so we're going to try to stick with him. Now we're back down to P4, and I have the Brawn right behind me, so I'm going to have to keep my eye out for him. Red Bull and McLaren are still battling side by side. I still want to hang behind them. McLaren looks to see if he gets a better run. I have to get used to these names because these names will follow in this season. Look for the inside of the Red Bull. Ultimately not a place I want to pass, so I back out. I think better of it. I still have that Brawn driver right behind me. I don't know how you pronounce that name. Posada? I don't know. Probably not, but we'll save that for later. And here we are, still following the McLaren and this Red Bull. Looks like the Red Bull is slowing up just a bit, so I should be able to get a better run. As you guys see, P1 in that Red Bull is starting to speed away. So I wanted to make the move as quick as I could, because I wanted to catch up to them. I know this car is capable of keeping the speed and the pace up. I'm going to go for the outside look this time, so we don't get squeezed on the inside. It looks like that is an easy pass done. Can we get the McLaren driver at the same time? I think we're just a little bit too far back on the front stretch, so we're going to have to wait for our next opportunity. It looks like this car seems to have an outright speed more than the McLaren and the Red Bull, the 2010 cars in general. And here we are, the McLaren's going to go for the inside to cover it, so we're going to go on the outside. We're going to try to brake a little bit later. He brakes just a tad later, and we go side by side through there. And it looks like that's job done though, as he kind of tucked out and let me have that position. So now we're going to go for P1. Coming around the last few set of corners for this lap. It's only lap 6 too. This is actually a long race. As you guys will see, I kind of cut in and out of a couple things that are, I guess you would say, action-packed or very interesting. Get a great run on Sayar. So I think it's Sayar. No, I don't know. We're going to go for an outside look, and it looks like that's job done. That was quite a pass.
You made it look easy.
Jeff applauds. I was actually pretty stoked by that. So we're going to have a nice little fancy look back here, but we do get around them. We go up the hill, and for the final front stretch, we're going to make our move on the outside and try to keep it clean. As you guys can see, we have a lot more speed than that 2010 Red Bull. It looks like that was job done. So we cover the inside line, and we start to pull away, building the gap on the lead. Just so much more enjoyable these cars are sometimes to me. I don't, maybe it's my driving style. Maybe it's the setups.
Box this lap. Keep an eye on your distance to the speed limit line as you approach, and make sure you don't speed.
So lap 17 here of the Grand Prix, we're actually going to dive for the pits, our one and only pit stop. And these cars didn't have, soft, medium, as you guys can see. It's just dry, so we pull into the pits. And I was carrying a lot of speed. I thought I was going to get a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane, but luckily I was able to slow down just in time. I'm really learning on attacking the pit lane and trying to slam on the brakes, slow the car down as best as I can. Before a new set of dry tires are on, we're going to go on our way out of the pits. As you guys can see, we're actually getting passed by a couple of the 2010s that were down to P2, P3. So we're going to come out, I think it's roughly around P4, P5. There's P4, P5 right there. And we're going to go right, it's a McLaren too actually, so luckily we do get out just ahead of them. And we're actually going to pull back over into the racing line and guard that inside line so we keep and maintain that position. And now it's on to catching the pack in front of us, as you guys will see. Eventually though, when I do catch them, they'll dive into the pits, and it kind of confuses me because I was following their line and I didn't think they were actually going to dive. And I kind of caught myself napping a bit, and luckily I pulled out of the general area. keeping aboard with the spectator cam, I love the sound of these cars in this kind of TV mode, I guess you would say. But I mean, you can't fault them. You can't fault people that like the old sounds of Formula 1, especially the engines. Coming across to try to pull up on these guys. As you guys can see, they all dive into the pits. Now it's on to catching the top 3, and this is where it kind of confuses me as we jump on.
We're not going to be able to run in this engine mode much longer. We're about a lap over target. Drop down to mix too soon. The gap to the car behind is 2.5 seconds.
See, as they go, I thought they were going to cut that corner, or one of them was going for a move, but they actually dove for the pits. And I had to kind of catch myself sleeping, as we do set the quickest time of the race so far, the fastest lap that is. And now that is us back up to P1. So this is why I felt like I needed to up the AI, because I felt like I was building too much of a gap. Jumping on here, this is very interesting, catching some of the back markers, and this Renault decides to really check up on me, and I had to slam on the brakes. And I do give him a bit of a tap in the gearbox. Luckily, no damage, and he gets out of my way finally. And that was a bit annoying, I guess you'd say. I had a couple choice words, but I would leave those out. But here we are, the final lap of the Grand Prix. Catching up to a Williams, a BMW powered Williams, as he actually moves out of my way quite nicely. So that was, not as bad as the Renault driver. I'm gonna have to get used to that, because some of these cars are actually a lot less downforce. But I'm afraid that when we get to places like Italy and Spa, that those cars, the 2004 cars, are going to be so fast, and it's going to be so hard to keep them behind us in the straight lines. And here we are, gearing up to cross the line and pick up the first win of this season. And it's job done, and we finished the line in P1.
That's P1. Race win. Well done.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1.
So, first race of this classic season in the bag. We grabbed P1. There's 10 points to our name, because if you guys notice the point system, this is classic points, as you guys heard the commentators say. So, it's 10 for the first, down to 6, and so on, so on. You only get, wow, okay, so this is a lot harsher. You only get points for the top 6. But if you guys enjoyed this video, thank you so much. Hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. Until next time, I'm going to leave you off with the race highlights like I always do, and I'll catch you on the next video.